The hell is wrong with you, lady?
I've got the jeez, oh my god.
All right, screw that opening. Just to hell with it. Just unbelievable. Oh my god. We'll fix it in post. That's right. Melissa was actually asking me this morning, do you do any editing? I was like, I never edit anything. I'm too lazy to edit. Too lazy to edit. Well, welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, February the 28th, the last day of February. Thank frickin' God. I'm Shawn King. Over there, the cute one is Melissa King. How you doing?
I'm good. How
You're good,
are
are you? Good.
Yeah.
On tonight's show, we'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. We're going to talk to Jim about Apple Medical Centers, AC Wellness. They're opening up 2 medical centers for employees, one in the Apple campus, the new Apple Park building, and one just outside of it. We'll have what that means and whether it means we'll eventually be able to get Apple Care for ourselves, too. You think this is a precursor to Apple becoming an HMO? I don't think it is, but it's kind of an interesting idea. We're also going to talk about Apple in China. We'll talk about cord cutting. Jim did a Dalrymple report with Josh Centers of Tidbits about cutting the cord. Are you guys cord cutters? Has someone out there done that? We have, mostly because of her, because she doesn't like TV. When's the last time you had cable TV?
Oh, 2-3 years ago.
So it wasn't that long ago.
No.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't me. It was someone else that had it. I wouldn't have got it, but it was someone else.
Mm. And there's no interest in getting it. You have Netflix.
Yep.
And you have one son who doesn't care about TV. Another son who only cares about the Xbox.
Yeah.
So you have that advantage.
We liked Netflix too.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about that. On our starting point photography segment, we're going to talk about the Lifeprint printers. These are these little tiny printers that print off little tiny images. And we'll talk about that and our opinions about those things. Moments ago, it was reconfirmed for me that I hate having children. How did our parents ever get through this stuff? I know I did this, and it makes me laugh more than anything else, just because it's something I did. You go in the bathroom, and there is an empty toilet roll on the toilet roll holder. So someone's gone in, used the last of the toilet paper, hasn't even bothered to take the roll off and put it in the garbage, and then hasn't bothered to put on a new roll of toilet paper. It's just disrespectful.
It is.
It just and then what did you say? Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Tell them.
Yeah. Don't go through me. I don't want to be the interim. Hey, Shawn. Wow. I don't want to do that. You just you go tell them.
Mosquito. Kids suck until they don't.
Yep. And grown-ups like yes.
Kind of funny.
Yes.
Speaking of the kids, today here in at least British Columbia, I don't know about Canada, was Anti-Bullying Day. It's one of the reasons why Melissa's wearing that particular T-shirt. That T-shirt says what?
Oh, this one says, what does it say? What the world needs now. It's on.
Is it? Doesn't finish it? It just assumes you know the rest of it?
No, because it's a heart. There's a heart.
Oh, I'm sorry.
World.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
When did this start? This started, I think, 2009, the anti-bullying in Canada, because of an incident that happened in Nova Scotia, wasn't it?
Yeah, some kid was bullied who had a pink shirt on.
And a couple of his classmates bought 50 pink shirts and handed them out to kids the next year, and it's grown into a movement. Actually, the United Nations has declared World Anti-Bullying Day to be May 4th. I don't know why we're doing it on February 28th. But our 12-year-old, Rory, went to school today in a pink T-shirt. What does T-shirt say? Something about anti-bullying?
I don't know. I forget what it says.
Is this something that the kids actually participate in? Are they forced to participate in it from the school?
They're not forced to. It's one of those, it's Pink Shirt Day, and everyone, I mean, today at the schools.
Well, for example, is Rory aware there was Pink Shirt Days? Hey, Mom, I have to wear my Pink Shirt Day.
Well, I'm kind of...
Or did you remind him?
He would have known, but I know because I work for the school board. So.
Has he ever been bullied?
No. No, not that I know of.
Do you think it's because of where we live in this nice small community that there just aren't bullies in the schools?
Oh, no, there are bullies in the schools.
Are there?
Yeah.
Is cyberbullying a bigger issue, though, than physical bullying?
I don't know.
As I was doing some research on this, I read that kids start getting seriously bullied, cyberbullied, around ages of 11 to 12 online on Facebook. But the thing with that story is that Facebook doesn't allow anyone under the age of 13 to set up an account. So what's happening is parents are setting up accounts for 11-year-olds on Facebook. And the kids are getting cyberbullied through that.
Yeah.
At what point do we beat the parents?
Oh, I agree.
Because
know.
that's just stupid, setting up a Facebook account for an 11-year-old that you don't control.
Exactly.
That you're not paying attention to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That where the kid can be cyberbullied. Because the story said the vast majority of kids don't talk about being bullied. I was bullied a lot when I was a short, fat little kid. And I don't remember ever. I told my sister. I never told my mother that I was being bullied. I never told any teachers. I never told any adults that I was being, like literally on a daily basis from the age of 8 to 10 and a half. Every day of the school year, I got beat up by this group of 10, 12 kids. One at a time. It wasn't like 12 kids jumped me. That one kid would just see me and go, hey, there's Shawn, boink, and punch me in the face kind of stuff. And I'd come home with scrapes and bruises, and I'd tell Mom I got into a fight. I didn't tell her I was being bullied. I don't know if we thought about it as being bullied back then.
No.
You're just getting beat up. It was just like, it was a fact of life for me as a kid. For those ages, there was nothing in the school. So what do they do with the kids now in the school? Do they talk to them about bullying? Do they say you can?
Well, I mean, I spoke with an administrator today, and she said there seems to be more bullying on Pink Shirt Day. But one of the interesting things that she said was that the bullies themselves now are getting really ostracized and peripheralized by all the other kids, which is not really what we want for these bullies. We want them to not be peripheralized and ostracized because that's not healthy for them. I want the bullies to... She's finding that the kids aren't very good at speaking up for each other. And I think that the bullies need to see that it's not okay, but then they need to be embraced with kindness by the rest of the school too. They can't be ostracized because they're having some trouble with being a bully. MacMan
says, yeah, all you need to do is check a box on Twitter, on Facebook, it says you're over 13. Well, that's ridiculous then.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Then again, only other thing Facebook could do is make us all give them our driver's licenses.
Yeah.
And how do you prove that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Then it becomes the parents have to be even more proactive and looking on the kids' phones and computers to make sure that they aren't on Facebook if they're too young to do it. But then if they aren't too young, to at least keep track of their activity on Facebook.
Well, it's everything now, though. It's Instagram. I mean, Rory gets messages through Instagram. I don't know. I'm thinking, I don't even know who he's following, who's following him.
Do you have his password for those kind of accounts?
I look on his phone. Snapchat. Yeah. They're always Snapchatting back and forth now, so I check those messages. They're pretty innocent at the moment.
At the moment, that's kind of scary, isn't it? I mean, it's. Especially in the world we live in now, where it's so easy for things to go bad very, very quickly for kids. Whether that's be bullying or sexting or anything else like that.
They'll do it in silence.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So I think, and this is along the lines of something Melissa and I have talked about in the past, about technology and parents, that these kids have grown up with technology, whereas the parents generally haven't. Not certainly to the immersion that kids are nowadays. And it really, hopefully parents, maybe they don't, but hopefully parents realize it. And there's all kinds of resources online to help you track this stuff, to figure this stuff out, see what kids are doing and talking about, things like that.
And the schools do that for the parents. They'll have workshops and things like that for the parents that want to go in, not for the parents that don't care or don't have the time.
And that brings it back to bullying. Bullying isn't a taught thing, but it is a learned thing. I mean, I'm a weird case in that I was being bullied from 8 to about 10 and a half. But from 12 to 14, I was the bully. I beat up everybody. I was the absolute typical bully.
So you were angry.
I was, exactly. And that's the thing, that no one recognized that I wasn't just a big jerk, that I was angry at stuff and I was taking my anger out. I didn't learn from my dysfunctional parents to be a bully, but I was taught
by the bullies
that this was a way to get my anger out.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of ostracizing doesn't work for a bully. It has got no effect on them. At least didn't for me.
Oh, yeah, and you don't want that for them.
No.
I mean, they're kids. They don't, I mean, I think that they need empathy. I don't think that they're deliberately, I mean, I have met some kids that I've worked with that I know are going to end up in prison.
Oh, God, yes.
I go, oh, my gosh, he's going to end up in prison one day.
Susan Gare says Logan has picture ID from our tribe, but most kids don't have picture ID. If Facebook went to requiring photo ID, that might make things difficult. Yeah, I you don't want Facebook to go that far, because there are some people who need to be on Facebook anonymously. People who are in danger from other people. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to take away that ability to be anonymous. So now the onus has to be on the parents to keep track of what the kids do, which they should be doing anyway.
They should be.
You know, for kids of that age, say 10 to 15, maybe. At what point, though, at what age do you give the kids the freedom to do whatever they want on the internet? 17, 18, when they move out? Now, at what point do you stop tracking them? Do you stop checking their phone? And because as they get older, maybe you got to do it even more often.
Yeah.
That's the other issue, too.
Well, high school's coming.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And all the weirdness that's going to happen to him in high school.
Oh, my gosh, if I had a girl. If I had a girl, I just think it's harder if you have a girl.
No, I wouldn't disagree with that. Mosquito says, and if you choose to avoid the whole issue by homeschooling, your kid won't be adequately socialized to the degree that he or she can deal with people later on. You were saying something this morning about bullying, about how you don't necessarily want the kids to immediately go to a authority figure. You want them to learn how to do it deal with it on their own.
Yeah, I think they should. I think the way the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guys do it, they teach a child that's being bullied to gather their courage and stand and shout and get very, very angry at the bully. And then they also encourage the other children to join in and say, and gang up on the bully to say, you need to go away now. You need to back away. It's not okay. And then there's a level where they go, it's time to get an adult.
I think that's key. If the other kids assist, if the other kids help the kid being bullied by confronting the bully.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because I know when I was getting beaten up, I felt completely alone. I mean, the other kids would just run away.
They just would walk away.
Because they were terrified, too. Because we didn't realize at the time that if 10 of us didn't gang up on the bully, I'm not talking about 10 of us beat the bully up, but if 10 of us confront the bully, the bully backs off.
Yeah. And that's what they teach.
Interesting.
They teach that if you don't, that you're actually bullying as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Later on in the show, we're going to be talking to the folks at talk to them. We're going to be doing a review of the Lifeprint Hyperphoto Printer. But up next, we'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of the Loop at loopinsight.com. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. This is Your Mac Life. I am Shawn King. On our phone now, we've got our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. Surprising no one, Jim's at a bar.
I absolutely am. I did move away from the people that were ordering burritos. So.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
It was announced. It was discovered earlier this week that Apple is opening up its own medical clinics for its employees. What was your first thought when you heard that story?
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but Apple has its own medical clinics on campus in Cupertino.
Yes.
So they're called the Wellness Center.
Yes.
So, you know, for me, when I read it, I didn't know that they didn't do this at other campuses.
Yeah.
So, and maybe they did. I don't know. So it didn't really surprise me a whole lot, but I think it surprised people maybe more that didn't know that they had wellness centers or clinics already on campus.
I think the calling it AC Wellness is for some reason really tickles my funny bone. The idea of it's Apple Care Wellness.
You know what? I don't want to know anything that tickles anything of you. Anything.
But it's in some ways it's good. In some ways it could be bad. I think a lot of us would trust Apple with a lot of things, but do you want your employer to be that close to your healthcare provider? You think there's any concerns there?
I don't think that there's any, again, because Apple has been doing this for many years.
Yeah.
And to be clear, the people that Apple has at its wellness centers, whether they're chiropractors or optometrists or, you know, whatever they are, you know, top of the line people. These aren't, you know, somebody that Apple just picked up off the street and said, hey, you want to crack somebody's bones? Yep. You know, what the hell is that?
Sorry.
What
autoplay video on CNBC. Jesus, I hate autoplay video.
Oh my God.
Damn
love
it.
That. I don't know if it was you that retweeted that today or somebody else, but said 0. That is the number of people that want the video to autoplay when you go to their page.
There's not a single person in the frickin' world that wants that.
Yeah.
God damn it.
So, you know, Apple is obviously going to hire the best of the best. And these are the people that are going to be in their clinics. I mean, it's not like the doctors are all of a sudden going to shun their responsibility for privacy, especially to a company who touts privacy.
Yep, exactly.
You know, they're not going to do that. So the doctors have their ethics, whether it's a chiropractor or some other kind of doctor, they have their ethics that they need to uphold, and Apple has to abide by that.
Yeah, so those concerns, while okay to voice, people have to understand that I don't believe for a second that would ever be an issue when it comes to Apple. Again, because as you said, their already professed desire for data security and privacy of its users, they're going to feel the same way for the most part about their employees. Do you think, though, and I think this is for me and maybe for you too as a Canadian with our universal healthcare system, do you think this is going to be the precursor to Apple becoming their own HMO, that we'll be able to buy an iPhone and medical care from Apple at some point?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's just a hairball. That's what that is. That's a gigantic hairball. Are you guys high now?
Not high enough. Welcome to California.
Yeah. So
no, okay. I think this is.
I don't think that will happen. I think Apple is doing this for its employees, and like I said, unlike what other people who may not have known about the wellness centers before, I think Apple may be expanding what it has already been doing.
Yeah.
Now, will they make this available to the general public? No, I don't think so. They're not interested in becoming a hospital.
No, I think this is just Apple. This is another employee perk of working at Apple. I think this is one of the things. They got a great cafeteria. You got a new office building. You get discounts, and you get this healthcare stuff. I don't think that's a problem.
But
go ahead.
It's always been there, though.
Yep.
or for a long time it's been there. And you know, I saw people talking about, oh my God, Apple's opening up these clinics. No, they're not opening up. They've always had in at least the main campus the clinic, and they have other things too that, you know, people would be surprised that they have. But that is, like you said, a perk. Now, Google also has a similar type, maybe not exactly the same as Apple, but similar type things.
Yep, same as Amazon.
And I'm sure Amazon, and I'm sure Facebook does too. So if all of a sudden it came out that Facebook was, or Google was opening up, you know, clinics, people would be, oh, wow, you know. But no, always there, always there. Always been doing it.
I think this is very much a Silicon Valley thing. I don't think people, I think it's why it became a story, was that people aren't used to this idea, but it's a very common perk of employees at various big Silicon Valley companies. It's not a perk that you're going to find at your local company in Minnesota or anything else like that. But and that's why it became a big story, was that it seems unusual, but for Silicon Valley, it's really not that unusual.
Right. And what you have to remember about Silicon Valley, and anybody that knows somebody here that has worked here knows that there's a lot of competition for the employees. That's why, you know, there's shuttles to work, and there's wellness centers, and there's fitness centers, and, you know, there's all of these different perks that you don't have to pay for now because you work for said company. You know, you don't have to pay for a gym membership because we have a gym that's world class, and you don't have to pay for, you still have a doctor, but you know, there's a meta or a clinic on campus with chiropractic and you know, these different things that you don't have to do anymore. So,
and the other aspect of it too is that as a perk of the job, that it won't travel with you, though. That's the only concern I would have, is that if you like your doctor, if your doctor is attached to your employer, if for whatever reason you move jobs or lose your job, you lose your doctor. That's not a huge issue, but it might be a bit of a concern for some folks.
Well, I think the way that Apple does it now, I'm not sure, but I think most people have a doctor outside of Apple. There's a lot of these different perks that you don't have inside of Apple at a wellness center, you know. So, you know, that's there's always some. Yeah, would you leave your chiropractor? Yeah, sure. Yeah. You know, I don't know. To me, it's definitely a big deal. It would be a bigger deal if I worked for Apple. Yeah. So
no kidding. Which is never going to happen, by the way. You can give up that dream.
Well, oh God, Apple would never hire me. Oh my God, they would have to be on their last legs.
That's desperate.
Because you know, they would hire my parents before they hired me.
Well, it's because your parents are lovely people, so I completely understand that.
They actually are, yes. I don't know what happened to me, but my parents are actually lovely people.
Well,
they would hire my grandmother before they hired me.
I think the Nova Scotia lovely skips a generation in your case. That's why. Because your kids are nice too. So
my grandmother's pretty lovely. I'll tell you that.
So you were adopted.
She's 88 years old. And I texted her the other day. She got an iPhone.
Good for her.
Oh yeah. She's all over it too. She knows more about it than I do. I texted her the other day and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And she said, "Well, been fighting a cold lately, but nothing some wine and vodka won't fix."
Good for Grandma.
All right, that's good.
Another story that popped up over the weekend: Apple moves to store iCloud keys in China, raising human rights fears. This is a really interesting story. Apple, as I said in the story on The Loop, is caught between proverbial rock and a hard place in this one, that they have to abide by the laws of the countries that they operate in. But China's regard for human rights is pretty low on their scale. Apple can't do a whole lot. Do you think there's justified fears for people in China of what the Chinese government is going to be able to get out of Apple?
Shawn, I don't know if I've ever said this on your show before, but I always like to be honest. I don't know enough about this to really be able to say one way or another, yes or no.
Yeah.
And I wish I did. I really do. But I just don't know. And I think you said it perfectly that Apple is kind of stuck. They don't have a choice. And this is something that people rail about all the time and don't understand that, oh, Apple is only paying so much in this place when they pay, you know, this much in Silicon Valley. Well, every company does that because they pay based on where you live and the area or country that you live. So Apple pays good wages no matter where they hire people. It's just based on that. So it would be wrong of me to say I don't think that there's any concerns, and it would be wrong of me to say, yeah, I have a lot of concerns, because I just honestly don't know, and I don't know that anybody really knows. Who could know what's up for grabs in the cloud in China?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows.
The only thing I've seen about this that gives me some succor from Apple is from our friend Ben Bajarin. He wrote on Twitter, obviously it's a statement from Apple. I'm not quite sure where it came from, but in the new arrangement, Apple will establish a new data center with the GCBD, which is the government authority in China. Apple says, and I quote, Apple has not created, nor were we requested to create, any backdoors, and Apple will continue to retain control over the encryption keys to iCloud data. As with other countries, we will respond to legal requests for data that we have in our possession for individual users, never bulk data, and when we do provide data, we will continue to include the requests in our semi-annual transparency reports. That helps, I think. I think that little bit of information from Apple might help folks. I would still recommend to anyone in China to not use iCloud if you have human rights concerns. If you're an activist of any kind, I wouldn't use iCloud, just to be on the safe side.
Well, then you're using something else and you're in the same situation.
Possibly, yep,
I mean, if you can create, you know, iCloud encrypted type stuff that the Chinese government can't get to, then maybe you're safe. And, you know, Apple is probably the safest company to be with at that point. Yep. So, you know, God, I really want to think the best of all of this, but it is difficult given the circumstances. Yep. And you know, this is like when I write a review. I just don't know. Are you leaving? No. I don't know, and I wish I could, but I just can't.
on National Anti-Bullying Day, are you being bullied over there?
You know, I could be. I might have to throw down here any second.
Well, to get your camera out, someone videotape that. The Dalrymple report last week posted this past Monday. You can find the Dalrymple report up on the iTunes store. You talked to Josh Centers of Tidbits, looking at the options for cord cutting. Is this something you've done under the bridge there in San Jose?
Well, I don't. The TV I have doesn't have a screen, and it had tubes, but I took them out and tried to put them in my guitar amp. So,
is cord cutting something that I always get the sense that cord cutting isn't something that the average person can do, needs to do, wants to do, even thinks about? It feels like cord cutting is definitely a very nerdy kind of thing. Do you agree with that? Did you get that sense from Josh?
No, actually I didn't. But what's interesting about cord cutting is I think that everybody is aware of it because of the players that are in the market right now. Yeah. Because, you know, there's big commercials about it, Hulu and YouTube TV and DirecTV Now, and everybody's kind of part of cord cutting, so people know it. But it really depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it was a fascinating interview because I told Josh up front, to me, this seems like a fragmented mess. And every time I look at it, I just shake my head. Now, I had Josh on again today. That'll be released next Monday about home automation and a home kit from Apple.
Yep.
And again, this seems like a mess to me.
Yep, that's right.
But he actually explained it in a way that it made more sense. And he just released a book on how to set up home automation and home kit.
Take Control. Take Control book, Apple Home Automation.
Yeah, and it's a great book. I read through it, and I said afterwards, you know, this isn't as difficult as what I thought it was.
Yeah.
So, cord cutting is one of those things that I would like to be able to do, but it's just not there yet. It's still not there yet for me.
It's certainly not there in any kind of easily managed way. You've got to basically recreate even 75% of what you get from cable TV right now. You have to go through dozens of different services. You've got to figure out all kinds of different subscriptions. You've got to pay $10 here and $15 there, and you got to is the show on Hulu? Is it on Amazon Prime? Is it on Netflix? You have to jump through a lot of hoops.
I think at this point, right now, you could probably do it with two.
No.
I think, you know, and in those two, I include Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I think you always have to include Netflix. Yeah. But then, see, the channels that are holding me back from getting YouTube TV, for example, are Food Network, because I started to cook, and I love the Food Network. Now, I'll be honest, the food that I cook sucks balls. It really does. I mean, I would chew the nuts off a live donkey before I ate what I cooked. But
there's a mental image I didn't need.
Still, I mean, I'm cooking and I'm eating it too, which may explain why I'm so grouchy. So there's, I mean, Food Network, Discovery Channel, and ID, because they have a lot of good murder shows. Yeah. And, you know, Bob pisses me off under the bridge. I may need to, you know.
Some advice.
I may need some advice, some practical advice.
Techniques.
So, you know, those three channels YouTube doesn't have. If it wasn't for that, I would get YouTube TV. So I just recently, after that show with Josh, I got the free trial for PlayStation View because they have those three channels. Yeah. But there's still some things in PlayStation View that are messed up. That's right. So you can look at Hulu, but they don't have Discovery or ID. Well, then that's kind of a killer. So then I look at DirecTV Now. Everybody says DirecTV Now sucks. The interface is awful. So, okay, well, that one's gone. What am I left with now? You know, so then I'm right back to, well, you might as well keep Comcast because
that's right.
You know, at least you've got everything. So nobody is really coming to the fore to say, this is it. This is what you need right here. We have all the stations, and we have a great DVR, cloud DVR. Now, YouTube TV, DVR, you can record something and keep it for 9 months. Yeah. What's Hulu? You can keep it for, you've got like, you know, I don't know, 50 hours or something of DVR content. Well, that's one good triple overtime hockey game.
Yeah, no kidding. That's right. Yeah. But yeah, it's difficult for the average person to want to put in the effort. You've got to be really determined to get rid of Comcast. You must really hate your cable TV provider in order to go through all the effort. And even then, you're still not going to get everything. You're going to have to give some stuff up in order to be able to replicate that 75% of what you're getting from your local cable TV provider. I think that the barriers, people are just, they're not lazy. It's just too much effort for not enough reward. And I think that's going to be the problem with cord cutting for a long time.
Well, I think when you look at when you look at cord cutting the way that it was even 2 years ago to the way it is now, I mean, people were telling you, oh, you need to go to Best Buy and buy this antenna, and then you'll get your local stations, and then you need to set up this separate app to interface with this other service, and then, you know, you'll get some stations, but not. The way that it is now is actually a whole lot easier. I went in and signed in for PlayStation View, and I had most of the major stations that I wanted. Actually, I had all of the major stations that I wanted. The guide is messed up, and the DVR thing is messed up. But I basically had, I mean, that could work. If I needed to, that could work, especially with Netflix. So it's not like it used to be where it's a big friggin' mess to try and get through and do everything. But it still wasn't where I was comfortable, where I could say, well, I'll get rid of Comcast and do this. It's getting there. And I don't think it's going to be long before it is there, but still not. For me.
I agree. I still think it still takes a lot more work for the average person for not enough reward. And like I said, you're still not getting it. It depends on how specific your TV requirements are. For me, motorcycle racing, I'm not getting motorcycle racing on any of these services. None of them carry it. So I've got to be legal to get my motorcycle racing. So live sports are still an issue, not as much of an issue as it was even 2 years ago.
What channel was motorcycle racing?
It's not on any channel in North America. They just don't play motorcycle racing in North America.
Okay.
So I can't get it.
Okay, so you can't get it regardless.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a different thing.
Exactly. But it is interesting, and the other thing I always find really fascinating about this is that everyone keeps thinking or hoping or expecting Apple to come out with some sort of service that will do all this for you. And I don't think Apple's ever going to be able to do that. There are too many parties involved. There are too many fingers and too many pies for Apple to be able to go to all of them and say, hey, look, we'll give you all $5 a month and we'll do this for $10.99 a month. It's never going to happen that way, I don't think.
No, but it does surprise me in a lot of ways that there are, as you said, so many players right now, but yet Apple wasn't able to pull this off. Maybe they never tried. I think
they would have tried. I think it would be a big differentiator for them with the Apple TV, because right now the Apple TV is kind of stuck mid-pack. You know, it does the same things the Roku does or that the Amazon does. They all do them in different ways, but it's pretty much the same thing, and you still got to work very, very hard. If Apple came out with a box that said $99 a month, here's the box, here's 4K, here's games, here is CBS, NBC, Yahoo, Amazon, whatever that kind of stuff was, I think they would run away with the market, but no one's going to let them do that.
Well, I would love it if they did, because I think Apple could do DVR right.
I agree.
You know, and I think they could do a great guide, and I think that, and to me, that's what's really holding me back from PlayStation View, because I look at it and I think, ugh, God, you know, if I had to, absolutely 100% had to, I think it's $39 a month. Okay. You know, I can deal with the DVR that sucks, and I can deal with, you know, the guide that sucks, and the rest. At least I'm getting the channels. All right, so, you know, I can deal with that. But when I don't have to, and PlayStation View doesn't seem to be fixing any of it, then I think, you know, when they get there, then I'll give it a try. But they're not there.
Giant pain in the butt. I look forward to the home automation thing with Josh next week. I always love listening to Josh. He writes for tidbits.com as the website. Take Control of Home Automation is the book. Do a search for it. It's also linked on The Loop. Jim Dalrymple from The Loop, thanks very much for being here, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Shawn. I'm going back to my beer.
Enjoy yourself. See you, pal.
See you. Bye.
Thank you very much for Jim for being on the show. Sorry, a little tickle in my throat. We got there's two things here. I gotta dig these up. I got an email from a listener in Australia. Where did it go? Local newspaper. Well, crap. How did I lose this email? I do not know how this happens, that I get these emails and I put them in my email folder and they somehow disappear from my email folder. It was right there. Son of a bitch. I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter last week. Melissa and I have been talking in... Hang on. Sorry, Melissa. I don't have you on screen. Melissa and I have been... When do you change? Oh, it's cold out there. Oh, sorry. Your microphone's not up. Sorry. It's cold out there?
It's cold out there.
Oh, poor little muffin. We've been talking in general terms, thinking about, maybe we could move to Australia. Her family's there. It's lovely. The people are nice. The scenery is spectacular. And then one of these stories comes up. This is a story I saw on Twitter that literally made me weep in fear. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what's called a huntsman spider. That spider is 1 foot across. That spider has a little spider friend coming out of the wall over here. Why haven't we nuked your country from orbit? Are you
I've never
kidding
seen a
me?
spider like that.
I don't care. It lives on your continent. That is utter insanity.
Shawn doesn't want to go anymore.
Oh, my dear Lord. That is utterly terrifying.
It is, isn't it?
That there could be a creature that size.
But it wouldn't hurt you.
I don't care. It would give me a heart attack and I'd die. So
it's the little ones that hurt you.
That would hurt me. That would kill me. That would make me drop over dead. I'm sorry. I would die if they don't even build webs. I don't care. I'd see it and have a heart attack.
I wonder where it was. Did it say where it was in Australia? Because
Don't
that's
care.
not. I've never seen
It's in
anything
Australia.
like it.
Good enough. It's in Australia. Good enough.
What? Aren't you coming with me when I go?
Nope.
Okay.
Not to get rid of all those things. That's
Okay.
just batshit crazy that you could.
I'll text you from the beach.
It's just insane. You can have a creature that size, a spider that big, and some of the comments on Twitter were hilarious. Seriously, how do you guys even sleep in Australia? Burns the house down. The tweet that came in with that was hilarious. He said, "My kids asked me at 7 a.m. if we should make breakfast for the spider." He was like, "What?" And he came out and he saw that.
Oh my God! Look at that thing.
Yeah, the second pair of legs under the doorway.
Is it outside?
Yes, that's out. I don't know. I don't know if it's outside. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's inside or outside. Macman, does that thing have a mustache? Oh, God. It can't be real. It's a Halloween decoration. Please tell me it isn't real. Huntsmen are mostly harmless and are great at keeping insects away.
Yes.
It's the redbacks and funnel webs you need to be wary of.
Yeah, you do.
I don't care.
And they're small, so.
They kill cockroaches and flies. It's easier to leave them there as they usually go back outside in a few days. In a few days! So for a few days, you can live with that in your house.
No.
You couldn't even take a fly swatter to it because it would grab the fly swatter away from you. Dude, what are you doing with this thing? Get out of here. Monty, nope.
No. No.
That's just insane.
It is.
But there was...
You could hear it when it walked around.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? You can hear them walking?
Well, you would be able to. You could hear it.
Who put shoes on it?
You. Hear them.
But one of the listeners sent me a list of spiders. Where'd it go? Son of a bitch. I remember I read the list. The
bears come
here
into
we go.
people's kitchens in Canada,
Yes, but they're not as big as that spider. So here's our friend Scott Thrift in Sydney, Australia. Thought this was a good thing to show off, and it's Australian spider chart. So this is what you do. This is how you read an Australian. There's the mouse spider. It's called a bastard. Huntsman spider, big bastard. Black house spider, under the bog seat bastard. Redback and funnel web, deadly bastards. bird-eating spider, big hairy bastard, white-tip spider, flesh-eating bastard,
You have those here.
and Australian jumping spider, jump at you bastard. Wait, jump at you?
Yeah.
There's a spider that would literally
Well,
jump
the funnel
at
web
you.
will. The funnel web will run after you and jump at. But hardly ever. I'm not going to
Hardly ever is not good enough. Hardly ever is not good enough for me, okay? Good God, that would be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying if anything like that happened. In our starting point photography segment today, we're going to be talking about the Lifeprint Hyperphoto Printer. These are really cute little teeny tiny printers. This is the lifeprintphoto.com's website. Let me pull up their website to show you guys. I'm going to block poor Melissa's face for a second here.
It's all right.
Lifeprint photos. There's two models. This is the 3 by 4.5 inch, and this is the 2 by 3.5 inch. The printers are the feel of them. It was interesting. The smaller one felt more substantial than the bigger one, which I thought was kind of interesting. Give you a sense of how
The big one feels chintzy.
it does. The big one feels cheap. So there's my iPhone. So it's a little bigger. It's the same width as an iPhone. Obviously, it's thicker than an iPhone and shorter than an iPhone. And it prints out images that are that big. You know, they're tiny. They're not. You're not putting these up on your wall or anything else. That give you a sense of how big it is. You download their software, Lifeprint photo software. I got to do this properly. I don't want to break this thing. The paper, it's a particular kind of paper. You can only use this paper. And this is called Zink, Z-I-N-K photo paper. It's Zero Ink is what it stands for. And you buy them in these little 10 packs of paper with sticky back. And I don't think you can get any other kind of paper except the sticky back one. That's an issue that we'll talk about in a little bit. So you get the paper. The paper fits into the printer quite easily. You download the software. The smaller version of it is Bluetooth. The larger version of it is both Bluetooth and wireless. You choose the printer in your Bluetooth settings. You link to it in Bluetooth. Then you just choose a photo. You can take photos in their app. You can edit photos in their app. But frankly, you should be editing them in other things, Snapseed and other apps. I only used, I only used their editing app just to get a sense of what it was like. I would edit my photos in Snapseed and then import them into their app. And then you print them off. It's not fast. It's not slow. It's you're sitting there at the kitchen table and you're watching it come through. It probably takes maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds for a print to come out. And that's where the problem starts. The prints that come out are very, very low resolution. It loses a lot of the detail. Now, so we had this photo of the very handsome Rory in Australia, and we could see it on the iPhone. So we could see it side by side. And we could see there was a great deal of lost detail in the Lifeprint photo. And the other issue was that not only was there a lot of detail, the colors were all wrong. If you see, he's wearing a blue shirt, blue pants, brown background, and I think a dark blue hat. Those are still blue on the picture, but they were a different shade of blue, like almost completely different. You hold them up side by side and you go, that doesn't look like the same color photo at all. So loss of detail, loss of color fidelity. Okay, that's fine. I understand. I asked the Lifeprint folks about this. Excuse me. And they said that's common to all photo printers that use zinc, the Z ink, the Zero Ink stuff. It's not a function of the printer itself per se. It's a function of the photo paper. Well, the problem is that's what the printer uses. So they really can't pass it off on and blame the zinc folks for poor color fidelity when it's the only choice I have when it comes to using this printer. The two are kind of interchanged, or entwined, and you can't separate one from the other. The other issue I found out from, found out from the Zinc folks is that the difference in color, I'd print 2 photos off, one after the other, and they'd have different colors. Not only were they different from the iPhone, they were different from themselves. And that was really weird. And I asked them about that, and they said it's because of the color of the heat. Because these are heat, this is a heat printing process. The hotter or colder of the device means you're going to get different colors. Well, that's freaking annoying. You have to know what temperature the device is to get the colors that you think you want on your photos. No one's going to go through that kind of hassle.
Does it get hotter each one that you?
Yeah, in theory, if you're doing multiple, if you do 3 or 4 photos, it's going to heat up, and therefore it's going to change because these are heat.
So you turn it off, put it back on again. You'd have to do it that way if you wanted
exactly. To. You turn it off and leave it off till it cools off, and at what temperature do you turn it back on? That's a bit annoying.
Yeah.
Battery powered, a mini USB in the back. The battery, I don't know how long the battery lasted. I didn't bother testing that kind of stuff out. But and also, oddly enough, it's got a security lock in the back. I guess it's so you could leave it someplace. And that's one of the features they talk about, which I didn't test out. By the way, that's how easy it is to put the ink in. The lid just slides off and slides back on again. But in theory, you could leave this at Grandma's house and print to it. Sorry, leave the bigger one, because this one isn't wireless. The bigger one, leave the bigger one at Grandma's house and print to it over the internet, which is kind of cute.
That's kind of cute.
I kind of like that idea that, you're off on vacation, or Grandma lives across the country and you've got a cute picture of the grandkids you want to send to Grandma, you can do this. And because the images are on sticky paper, Grandma can stick them to the fridge, or, so that's kind of cute. It's not good enough, though. I think this is, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see it on this image right here. You can see Rory's face. It's hard to see, but the smaller picture is actually of better quality than the larger one. And maybe that's because I printed this off. Again, it was too hot or things like that. But again, it's not something you want to be bothered with when it comes to the prints. This is a really nice image of Melissa's son. What's his name? Damon. I'm teasing her. Melissa's son's Damon, and the lovely little fussy cat, Mandy, that we have outside on the bench. And I took this with my iPhone. It came out great on the iPhone. I posted on Instagram, got a lot of comments on it. But this is an awful picture of them. You can barely tell he's touching a cat. The colors of his shirt and of his blue jeans are way off. You get the sense of the photo with this, and maybe that's good enough for the average person. Maybe that's my problem, because I'm a photographer. I expect to get better images out of these kinds of things. I want to see the color fidelity. I took this image in this way with those colors, with that edit, because that's what I wanted. And when you print it off and it doesn't get to that space that you wanted it to be, it's kind of annoying. Is this good enough to give to Damon's grandma? Yeah.
Yes.
Is this good enough that if you were traveling and you wanted to give some photos to some kids in the street? Yeah. Is this good enough for a photo album for the family? Yeah.
Yeah. Or a fridge magnet. You can make fridge magnets.
Now we're talking about fridge magnets. The sticky back on this stuff, I think it's hard to see, but these things have been lying on my desk now for about 2 weeks, and they curled up. The paper curled on itself. Again, I don't know if you can actually see that on the video. These photos no longer lie flat. But when you peel the sticky back off, it unsticks itself after a period of time. We put a couple of these in the fridge, and it's not like the fridge gets used a lot, but because it's a fridge, I'm sure it's getting cold and warm and cold and warm, and it started to peel off the fridge. That's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So I don't know if these are of a lot of use to people. It's a cute gimmick, a cute gadget, because the other problem is, where's the paper for? along with all these other issues, the paper for these things is really frickin' expensive. Each print is about $1.50. You get, these are, I think, 25 bucks for the $30 for a 20 pack. So they're about $1.50 a shot. That's a lot, considering you could take the same image, depending on where you live. For us here in Gibson, I could take my photos and send them to London Drugs over the internet, and London Drugs would print them off and either ship them to me, ship them to Grandma, or I'd go to the store and pick them up. I'd get better quality images. I'd get better quality paper, and the images wouldn't curl on me. And if I wanted to make fridge magnets, I could do all that kind of stuff to them too. So I have a hard time recommending this to anyone who's got access to a photo depot near them. If you've got a London Drugs here in Canada, Shoppers, your local Walmart might do them. If your local store can spit out these images, you're going to get better images from your local store than you are from this little gadget. It's a gadget. It's cute. It's not very useful, in my opinion. The other thing that they do, and this seems really odd to me, the folks at Lifeprint really, really want me to talk about a particular feature of Lifeprint. And the device is called the Hyperphoto Printer. And what it does, and this is just odd to me, what it does is it'll print video. No, it doesn't print 75 photos. But what it'll do is you grab a screen grab from a video on your phone, print that screen grab off, and then when you use the Lifeprint software and hold the Lifeprint camera view up to that photo, the video plays on your phone. You got to go see it at Lifeprint Photo. Is it lifeprintphoto.com? Yeah, lifeprintphotos.com. So you're holding your phone up, and you're holding the photo up, or on the ground, or on the table, and you're watching the video. Well, that's kind of cute, except for the fact that the person you're sending this photo to has to download the app, get the photo from you, whether you mail it to them or whether you hand it to them. If you hand it to them, just show them the video. Yeah. It's on the same device. If you mail it to them, just upload the video to Facebook. Just upload the video to YouTube. You don't have to have them, hey, I sent you this photo, go to the Lifeprint site, download this app, open the app up, point the app at this picture, and the picture will come to life. Instead of here's
like
the
a
YouTube,
Harry Potter picture.
which is kind of cute, but go to YouTube. Download it on YouTube. Download it on Facebook. I'll email you the photo. I'll email you the video. So that's even more gimmicky than
it is. It's very gimmicky.
Then I didn't even bother trying that because it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me to do that.
Yeah, pointless, says Monty.
Arcsign,
Monty asks about what resolution they claim to be. What resolution do the prints claim to be? Do they? I
don't think that's a good question. I don't think they claim any resolution. It might be on the website under the FAQ, Monty. I didn't look that up. Oh, hang on. Lifeprint warranty, 10 prints, film size, weight, printer dimensions, price, social media, device compatibility. No, the website doesn't seem to have. Let me see if it's under printer specs. Well, that information is there. All photos in one, in real life, robust editing, nitty-gritty, photo size. No, they don't give you any information about that as far as I can see, Monty. Arcsign says, how does the price of the special paper compare to the price of other specialized photo papers and specialized photo inks for inkjet photo printers? I haven't bothered to do that, but I do know that a regular inkjet printer from Canon or Epson, those kind of guys, their cost per photo is nowhere near $1.50. It's considered expensive off an inkjet if your cost per photo is 50 to 75 cents. That's an expensive print. No, they're nowhere near $1.50. It wouldn't be anything that I would say that high. Yeah, Monty says it doesn't look very high based on your test prints. If I had to guess, I'd say it's 100 DPI, if that, maybe 150. It's certainly not 300 DPI that you would expect from a photo printer. MacMan, zinc printers suck balls, in my opinion. Yeah, that's the problem. The problem right now for these companies is the only paper they can use, the only paper their machines are designed for, is the zinc stuff. And the zinc stuff just isn't there yet. All the reviews I saw from other printers, from HP and others, they all use the same zinc paper. And so any issues you're going to have is probably going to be common because of the paper heating up in the printer. The low color fidelity, the low DPI is a factor of, sorry, DPI isn't a factor of the ink, but those things are a factor of the zinc paper itself. And for me, that kills it. If I have to use this paper with the sticky back and the curve, the curving of it that doesn't lie flat, for me, that right there is the deal killer. These don't seem to be photos that are going to stick around for an infinite length of time. Monty, I looked at their paper prices. The pack of 10 sheets was $30. No, I think it was 20 sheets was $30. Monty, I'm going to their shop website. The Lifeprint photo paper sticky back 20 pack is $30 for the big ones. And the paper for a 40 pack is $50. So obviously the more you buy, the cheaper it is. Put a print somewhere that it gets a little bit of sunlight and see if it affects the print quality long term. Oh, I guarantee you it will. I guarantee you this will go to hell in a handbasket in a heartbeat. So, and then there's the price of the device itself. It's $150 for the big one. I think it's $99 for the small one. This isn't worth $150.
No.
This is not something combined with the low quality paper, the low quality images, and the high cost of these things. The combination of those things makes me say it's not worth the money. That not there yet. Sorry, Lifeprint folks. It's not yet there for me to be able to recommend it to my audience. And the thing for me, all the other reviews, most of the other reviews from other people are like, this thing is great. I'm like, are you reviewing the same thing I'm reviewing? I always worry about that. I always worry about, am I missing something? Or are they just being lying weasels? It's the internet. Let's go with lying weasels. Just because it's easier. As always, you can send us emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. I love getting emails from you guys. Got a great email from Paul Schinder. We were talking a couple weeks ago with Jim Dalrymple about the Apple Watch as a fitness device. Paul is going to defend Garmin. I had to push back against your comments about Garmin. It's clear you and Jim have never owned a Garmin fitness device and don't know what they can do. Dude, have you seen Jim and I? Do we look like fitness people? He's got an Apple Watch Series 3. It replaced an original Apple Watch. But the Apple Watch is a lousy fitness device. I'm a cyclist, road and mountain, and a cross-country skier. When I go skiing or cycling, I take my Apple Watch off and use a Garmin to record the activity. I use a Garmin Epix when I'm skiing and a Garmin Edge 1000 for cycling. It's a dedicated cycling device that mounts the handlebars. All watches are horrible for cycling. And that's the problem. He's using dedicated devices for this, single-purpose devices, whereas the Apple Watch is trying to be a lot of other devices. So I'll cut them some slack on that one. Apple has shown no interest in making the hardware changes necessary to make the Apple Watch a legitimate fitness device. Garmin has nothing to worry about, and they'll certainly be around 5 years from now. The Apple Watch is terrible for real activities. The screen isn't always on. It's not very legible in full sunlight. You can't wear it outside of clothing because it'll lock off the wrist. Optical heart rate isn't as accurate as that measured by a chest strap. The Apple Watch can't pair with the majority of sports sensors, which use a protocol called ANT+. It can't even pair with many types of Bluetooth sensors, including cycling power meters. You get the point. Not having used an Apple Watch, I will defer to you, Paul, on that aspect. You've used both the Garmin and the Apple Watch. I will defend the Apple Watch slightly from the point of view that Apple doesn't... They don't specifically say that this is a fitness device for serious fitness people. I don't think they do that. They might give that impression. I don't think they say that. I don't think serious fitness people think that the Apple Watch can be a replacement for the dedicated devices that you're talking about. It's the same with the iPhone. I don't think the iPhone is a adequate, for me personally, GPS device, dedicated GPS. My dedicated Garmin device is much better than my iPhone for direction in any number of ways. Better than Google Maps, better than Apple Maps, better than Waze. It's better in every single way in that one thing. But as you said, you've got a dedicated cycling device. You can't use it any other way. The Apple Watch can be used in many different varied ways, and Apple's trying to keep their finger in a bunch of little different pies. But I don't think most people think of it as a serious fitness device. And I don't think it's marketed that way. I think it's marketed as a fitness tracker, but I don't know if it's marketed as a fitness device. But I do take your point. The Apple is not good enough for folks like you who are more serious about their fitness. But thanks for the email. I appreciate it regardless.
I'm surprised they're not.
Well, I don't think the battery life isn't there to do it, and he pointed that out of the dedicated device. There's a bunch of reasons why the Apple Watch right now be a dedicated fitness device. Dan the Photo Man. Thanks for another great episode. A quick comment on the iPhone zooming. You mentioned digital zooming, and the 2x zoom in the iPhone 10 does a pretty good job, so people can use that. Please keep in mind the iPhone 7 Plus, 8 Plus, and X all have 2 lenses, a wide and a telephoto. You can use either lens by tapping the 1 or 2 button on all 3 phones, and results will be very good because you're using the optical lens and not a digital zoom. Pinching the zoom will give you a digital zoom, which won't be as good as the 2 optical lenses. However, glad to hear your zoo photos with the digital zoom on the 10 is better than it would have been in years past. That's absolutely true. One more point about the telephoto lens on the iPhone. They are not stabilized in the 7 Plus and the 8 Plus, but the telephoto lens is stabilized on the 10. Dan the Photo Man, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Dan Farron in Dublin, Ireland. Dan, can we come do a show at your place? Reading your recent tweets concerning Nova Scotia's local headlining the Hollywood Stars breakup, the local news, the CBC Nova Scotia, reported on the fact that Jennifer Aniston and whoever were breaking up. I was like, who in Nova Scotia needs this information? This is not Nova Scotia news. They're not getting divorced in Nova Scotia. Neither of them are from Nova Scotia. Neither of them are even from Canada. And this was a breaking news alert for the people of Nova Scotia.
That's so sad.
The people of Nova Scotia don't need to know this.
No.
It should not be in breaking frickin' news. He said, it reminded me of 2 famous examples at the other extreme of reporting the major events. The Skibbereen Eagle, a local newspaper in West Cork, Ireland, stated in 1895, the Eagle, will still keep its eye on the Emperor of Russia and all similar despots both home and abroad. The local paper. He said, the Aberdeen Journal newspaper reported the sinking of the Titanic under the headline, Aberdeen Man Lost at Sea.
Oh. It's a bit downplayed, isn't it?
Oh, that is funny. That is funny. It used to be the case in Ireland that every county and county town had its own newspaper, but the majority of these have gone out of business over the past 10 or 15 years. Those that do survive focus on local events and national issues which impact on the locals. Thanks, David. I appreciate that. I think that's the only way for local news to survive. They've got to stop giving any attention to news that isn't of relevance to that community.
I agree.
Because that community can find international news in a million different places. I follow CBC News Nova Scotia because I want to learn news from Nova Scotia. I want to see breaking alerts of issues that concern Nova Scotians. I'm getting traffic warnings. Okay, I'm okay with that. But that's an issue of concern to Nova Scotians. The fact that Nicole Aniston is getting Jennifer Aniston. Who the hell is Nicole Aniston?
There isn't such a person.
Jennifer Aniston is getting divorced. I don't care. I don't care as a human being.
No.
But I certainly wouldn't care as a Nova Scotian interested in breaking news. Yes, I have no problem with Nova Scotians being interested in that kind of stuff. But they can get that information from the Entertainment Weekly Twitter feed. I don't want to see that on my Nova Scotia Twitter feed. It's really, really frickin' annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, for those folks, I got an email from Tom is in, let's say Minnesota. He rides a Harley, so I ignore him most of the time. Kidding. He said, I've been watching the video archive of the podcast for a long time on Apple TV, but last week when I was going to watch, the app just goes back to the main screen. Today I tried to find the developer, but I couldn't. It doesn't show up in the App Store. Did it get pulled because Melissa just looked too darn good?
Oh.
You're a sweetie, Tom.
He's a sweetie. Thank you,
No,
Shawn.
it was just an issue with DJ McIntosh, who's the developer of the Your Mac Life. Did you know this? We have an app on the Apple TV. You actually watch this show live and archived on the Apple TV.
Really?
Really? It's a 99-cent app.
Gosh.
99-cent app. If you want to do this, you go to the App Store on the Apple TV, do a search for Your Mac Life. It'll pop up. I get no money from this, so don't worry about having to pay me. DJ McIntosh did this on his own. He coded it. It's all whatever. You can get old archives of the show. I think you can watch the show live. You can also watch archived versions of the show on your Apple TV, which is kind of cool.
It's kind of cool.
So, Tom, thanks very much for your interest. And I sent an email to DJ McIntosh, and he said he'll get right on that and get that fixed. Rick Allen sent us a donation. I don't know why Rick did that, but thank you, Rick. There was a reason for it.
Oh.
Rick, what was the reason? I remember the thing, but it was back in early February, so I've forgotten. A friend Roddy Paws. Hopefully you don't mind me asking this. He said, wants you to plug the channel Roddy Paws. YouTube.com/Rotty Paws. ROTTIE.
Must be about Rottweilers.
PAWZ. Yes, he's a dog fan. So if you want dog videos, go check out Roddy Paws' YouTube video. What else I get here via email? Don Beck says, I'm curious to know if you ever published the holiday greeting video from, or were you too busy in Australia having fun? It wasn't having fun in Australia. My laptop broke and we had crappy internet access and I couldn't edit them. And then once we got home, it was after Christmas and just there was no point. So sorry, Don. Apologize for that.
Oh, dear.
I know. It sucked.
It does. It did.
Oh, I want to send a big shout out to Lauren Finkelstein. I sent you a link to a story about voice assistants.
Yes.
And one of the young ladies that you work with, Sarah, describe her situation for the audience.
Well, Sarah has cerebral palsy, and so she speaks with a device. She doesn't have a voice, so she has to use a device to. So is it similar to what we've seen of Stephen Hawking's? Yeah,
Okay.
She uses an accent, very expensive. And now she's trying eye gaze so that we can see if she can use eye gaze instead of, because right now she can access with her fingers, but it's slow.
So I read a story about that kind of stuff and how a really sad story of a guy who had tongue cancer.
He got cancer, yeah.
And so they had to remove his tongue, and he wasn't able to speak. So he went on this website called Vocal ID, and he banked his voice. He actually, before he lost his tongue, he went through their service, and he read a bunch of test things. Remember back in the day when we used Dragon Naturally Speaking, you had to train the app, the same kind of thing. And so once they did that, they created a voice for him that he could then use on a device. I don't know if it's a particular device, but it was kind of an interesting idea. And one of the things that the website said was that other people can bank their voices for the use of other disabled people. I thought that'd be kind of neat. That'd be kind of a interesting idea that somebody could use my voice to communicate with people.
If they wanted to choose it,
if they chose my, I think it was kind of neat. I like that idea. I've always been told I have a good voice, and I think that would be a nice thing to do for a person. So I went to the website. I did their voice training, and put in my audition tape, and my audition tape was accepted. And so I sent a tweet out to people, and I said that I've done this, and I think other podcasters. I tweeted, I just submitted my audition tape to Vocal ID. I encourage all my fellow podcasters to do the same. I'm thinking I'm doing a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I get this tweet back from our friend Lauren Finkelstein. By the way, Lauren is the official Jew of Your Mac Life. Do you know that?
No, I didn't.
We have an official Jew. We have an official pilot, too.
Okay.
At one point, we had an official beer. We were the only podcast that had an official beer. And I think we're still doing a podcast as an official Jew for good reason. So Lauren writes to me, it doesn't seem like you to donate your voice to a company to resell to others. Am I missing something? Unless I'm mistaken, they charge $1,500 for a voice. Seems like the cause might be their bottom line. I was just like, what? I did not know that. From the Vocal ID donor point of view, at no point in the process on their website do they say, we're going to record your voice and then sell it to other people.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say that. They make it sound like it's a charity. And that's my own fault for not doing my own fact checking. And I blast others for this all the time. And so I have no problem anyone blasting me about it. Thanks to Lauren very much for pointing this out to me. I was like, what? So here's why I do the fact checking. I sent an email off to the Vocal ID people. I said, I included my tweet. I included Lauren's response. And I said, is he correct? And if so, do I assume that Vocal ID sells my voice, but I receive no compensation? Seems like a fair question.
Yes.
I got an email this morning from Elizabeth Newbor, who is in sales and marketing at Vocal ID. I checked out her LinkedIn profile. And here's the email she sent to me. Hey, Shawn, let's talk about this, as we do get this question every once in a while. Feel free to call me or let me know the best number to reach you at. Best, Elizabeth. Why does she want to talk to me on the phone?
Why does she want to talk to you?
Why don't you
just give you the information?
Answer the question. Are you, in fact, selling my voice? Am I, in fact, not going to make a dime off of that? Those are two yes or no questions. Why do you want to talk to me on the phone?
Don't want anything recorded, written down.
Ding, ding,
no
ding,
paper
ding,
trail.
That's certainly a possibility. That's certainly not beyond the realm of possibility. So,
going to make a deal?
No, I'm absolutely not going to.
No, I'm thinking, is she wants to make a deal with you? Or?
I wrote back, no offense intended, Elizabeth, but that doesn't make a lot of sense and seems pretty unnecessary. I simply asked if my friend was correct. Do you sell voices for $1,500? And does the voice owner receive no compensation? In my mind, those seem to be yes or no questions. And if you get this question every once in a while, shouldn't that be in your FAQ?
FAQ. Yeah.
Thanks for your email. And so I sent that off to them, and now I'm waiting to see if I get any kind of response from them.
Very interesting.
But thanks again to Lauren for checking on me.
Good for Lauren.
I love when people do that. I think we don't do that enough. I'm constantly on websites for not fact checking. I got pissed off at iMore yesterday. This whole Vero story is blown up beyond all proportion. But every iMore, Mashable, CNET, they all said Vero means truth. Dude, just no. Vero means truth in Italian. Really? You go to google.com, Vero, Italian, and it comes back true. No. Vero means true in Italian, not truth. It means truth in Esperanto. Yes, it's a minor detail, but it's a fact. Mm-hmm. It's a fact that's easily checked. Mm-hmm. Anytime you have a fact in your story, CNET, iMore, Mashable, check the fact. It's not that hard. Mm-hmm. As I said on Twitter, if you get the little facts wrong, maybe you're getting the big facts wrong too.
Yeah.
If you're getting the unimportant stuff wrong, maybe you're getting the important stuff wrong as well. So,
yes,
I
good
had a
point.
little rant with them. There's something else. What was it? Ooh.
Well, I know you're going to start asking people about April Fools.
Oh God, yes.
Just so everyone knows, I'm moving out. I won't be here for that period of time.
We have discussed this, and we need now to go to the audience on this particular question. My wife is a wonderful, sweet kind, gentle person. Unused to the ways of men. Certainly unused to the ways of men on April Fool's Day. Now, according to you, you've never actually played an April Fool's prank on somebody, have you?
Yes.
You have?
We did the saran wrap thing
Okay.
over the doorway and the toilet for Damon a few years ago.
So why are you saying I can't do April Fool's?
Because you're Shawn King and you get intense pleasure out of these dastardly schemes that you come up with. And it's all a bit intimidating.
What? You're scared of what I'm going to do?
A little.
Well, I'm not.
And then, are you really going to just let it go for that? Are you going to film it and do a commentary on it and put it on Twitter and share it with the world? That's what you do.
So is your problem that I'm going to humiliate you, or is your problem that I'm going to publicly humiliate you?
Both.
Ah.
Mostly public. See? MacMan says I'm a fast learner.
Isn't it our right to do April Fool's jokes on each other? As long as they're not hurtful.
Who's right? You mean people?
As human beings. As people who believe.
Sure. Yes. I wonder where the origins of it all came from, but sure.
So, the question that we are going to present to the Your Mac Life audience, knowing that she is kind and sweet and gentle and is already stressing out about this.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Knowing that I can be a dick.
Yeah.
I've already got the stunt in mind. It's already in my head. I know what I'm going to do.
Oh.
I can tell you it will not hurt her physically. It will embarrass her. Not in a, awful kind of way, in a funny kind of way. Well, funny for those of us watching. Less funny for her. Very much a punked kind of thing. Okay? So I will leave it up to the audience. They get the vote. Should I do it or not? Will the audience allow me, send your emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Will the audience allow me to do an April Fool's joke on my wife?
Well, there you go.
Is that
There's
good? Is that good
sure.
for you?
Yes.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
You're okay with leaving it up to the audience?
Sure.
Would you like to say anything on your behalf, in your defense?
I don't have anything. I don't need to defend myself.
Is there any plea you would like to submit to the
Just
audience?
to myself that I have to breathe deep and have courage.
Monty
Be
says,
ready.
Shawn, you haven't even been married a year. Perhaps you should wait.
Well, that's what I said to him, Monty, you're right. I said, I am your new wife. You already going to do this to me?
What better time to do it than when you're new?
Anyway, we'll go with what the audience says. We've put it out there.
Both MacMan and Dave D said, warning, no, if you value your gonads. But she's not that kind of girl. See, that's the advantage I have.
What do you mean?
You're not the revenge type. You would not hurt me because I pulled a joke on you. Answer, why am I Melissa's right? Shawn's wrong.
I know. I'm just looking.
Got to send me emails. Got to keep these in track by emails.
Well, if you want to move again. That's Monty.
On air, yourmaclifeshow.com
And-
to vote.
Yeah. He cut up his couch already. He ain't got no couch no more.
I got no couch. I got nowhere else to sleep.
All right. And they can, I'm fine with an anonymous response.
Oh,
if
absolutely.
People are more comfortable with that.
How you can email me anonymously, I have no idea.
I don't know. Yeah, right. That's true. Okay.
But yeah, if you don't want your name being used, I
would like to know from people if their April Fool's finishes at noon, because in my world, in my growing up, April Fool's always finished at noon.
I think that's an interesting question because I think first of all, I think April Fool's is only a North American thing.
No, we had it in Australia,
Australia?
and it finished at noon.
I've heard that before, that it finishes at noon. But I've also heard midnight. It starts at midnight and ends at midnight. But I've also heard the noon thing too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'd like to know. Yes, I'm having a bit of trouble with that.
My best April Fool's joke ever was when I worked in an office. This is back in the mid-'90s, engineering firm. And there was it was a cubicle farm, so there was 50 cubicles. We all had Macs. And in those days, OS 7, you had a folder on your hard drive, in your startup folder, called startup items. And whatever you put in that folder started first. And it was helpful to you put in your word processor, you put in documents that you wanted to work on first thing in the morning. And because the machines took 5 minutes to boot up, so you'd walk in, you'd push the power button, you'd walk out, you'd get yourself a coffee. By the time you came back, your computer had booted up into FileMaker or Word, whatever it was that you were using. So on March 31st, I stayed late after work, and this was in the nascent days of the internet. And I'd found this sound file. And I took the sound file and copied it onto a floppy disk, and then went to every single one of these 50 computers and put the sound file into the startup folder item. Now, the thing is, you couldn't stop the startup items thing. If it was Word, there was no way to stop Word from fully opening up. So if you put a sound in there was no way to stop the sound from fully playing. Well, there was, but they didn't know how. So I put the sound file in 50 computers, turned them all off. I then went home. Could barely sleep. I was so excited. Because everyone at work came in at different times. Some guys came in at 7, 7:10, 7:20, 8 o'clock, 8:13, that kind of stuff. So I get in there at 6 o'clock, and I'm just sitting there pretending I'm working. And the first guy, John, walks in. Hey, Shawn, you're here early? Yeah, John. I'm just sitting there, oh, God, this is going to be so good. You hear John walk in, you hear him put his briefcase down, you hear him hang up his jacket up, you hear him push the power button of the computer, bong, and then 30 seconds later, you heard the sound file. And the sound file was the orgasm scene from When Harry Met Sally. And that goes on for about 3 minutes.
Look at it. How many years ago was this? I mean,
oh, God, this is 30 years ago.
I'm so grateful. People are going, no, Shawn. Look at the pleasure and the evil pleasure that you still get from that. And you couldn't sleep the night before. Oh, my God. To this day,
I can hear John go, what the hell? And I have just fallen apart laughing.
Oh, my God. That is a good one.
King, is this you? Meanwhile, Sally is having an orgasm off his
and
computer.
She's banging on the table.
Banging on the table the whole deal. You're an asshole, Shawn.
It is a good one.
Oh, and finally it stops. I'm like, I peed myself laughing. He said, did you do that to everyone? Yes. Yeah, I did. Okay, this is going to be fun. So he sits down, wait for Susie to show up to work, and then Paul and John and Frank, and they all come in at different times. And they come in, and there's these orgasms happening on everyone's computers. Oh, my God. Of course, the next day I get a letter from HR.
What was it? What did they say?
Don't do that, Shawn. Don't mess with people's computers. Blah, blah, blah.
MacMan says there's an extension called Power Orgasm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just perfect. Oh, my God. It was the funniest thing ever.
You stick with me, audience. Okay.
So, audience, your choice. We're leaving it up to you guys.
And you'll honor whatever.
I absolutely will. I will show you every single email I get in. Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com or on air at yourmaclifeshow.com. I will track them all. We have 1 month.
Yeah.
But we have 1 month from tomorrow. So you guys decide. Can I or can I not? Again, the joke will be a practical joke. It will not be harmful.
No more. That's it.
I don't want people to think that I'm going to be a complete athlete. You're going to lose a limb or something.
No.
She might get wet.
No. Not if I'm ready. No. No.
Can we tell them what we're going to do to Rory?
Well, when we can't, because it's a Sunday.
We had this great idea that...
Oh, look, Sherry wants to know what it is. Isn't she a bugger? She's saying, will you tell us what it is?
Before the...
You want to know? I could leave and he could tell you.
Oh, what the practical joke for Melissa is? No, I'm not telling you guys, because someone would squeal. Oh, God, no. And then she'd be ready for it.
I see Sherry's point, though.
What do you mean?
It was like, tell us what it is, and then we'll judge from that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It is Easter
If it
Sunday,
was a school day,
right.
well, what I was going to do is that night, Rory goes to bed at 9 o'clock. So that night I was going to move all the clocks ahead an hour, half an hour. So he'd go to school a half hour early. I think that'd be just freaking funny as hell. But last week when we had a snow day, but it didn't snow, they canceled class at 5 o'clock. We wake up at 6. Melissa gets the email that says, school canceled today. Don't send your kids to school. And there's no snow outside. It's perfectly okay to go to school. I said to Melissa, let's send him anyway.
Oh my God. See, yeah. Oh.
I wanted to wake him up and do the normal routine.
Send him over to a dark, empty school. Oh my
and
gosh.
send him off to school.
Yeah, he looked like a doofus walking along.
There's no one there.
No, walking along. Everybody going, where is that kid going?
Where's that kid going? Yeah. Easter and April Fool's Day. Easter and April Fool's in the same day. Danish combination.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So you're not going to think of something different to do to Rory. Again, it won't be hurtful. Chili peppers in his chocolate?
No.
Why not?
Well,
Change the salt for sugar? Or sugar for salt? Sorry.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Folks, that's it for tonight's show. I want to say thanks, as always, to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Thanks to you guys for being tuned into the show. And as always, thanks for the lovely Melissa for putting up with my shit. Until next week, as always, I've been Shawn King.
And I'm Melissa King.
And you've been listening to Your Mac Life.
Good night.
See ya! No kidding. You absolutely should.